Hola, 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 mis amores, ¿cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Si you know, hi, my loves. How are you? How are you doing today? So I am back. I'm back with another video podcast, y'all. So this is such an interesting topic. They often all gang up on me, as we would expect males to do, right? They all gang up on me every time I try to stand up for women, every time I try to stand up for women's rights, advocate for women and women's voices. They all gather up, okay, and they try to tell me what it is that I'm doing wrong and how I'm so against males and how I'm such a feminist, blah, 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 blah. Blah. They don't listen. They don't know how to listen, right? And they just keep going on and on and on, spouting things that are untrue and lies, and trying to gaslight me over and over and over again. All right, waste of time, right? So one of the very interesting points that came up: if males really wanted to take back the power, then we could. If we really wanted to take back our power, we could. All we would have to do was bully, oppress, and assume women and start unaliving women to the point where we would just forcibly take back all the power and we will give women no rights. The reason women have power is because males gave it to them. He literally had the audacity to fix his lips to say, yeah, I can't make this up, to say this idiocracy to me. All right. And at this point, that's when I realized this is a complete waste of my time. I'm going to lose my voice arguing with a species that doesn't even really comprehend how their own species work, much less trying to tell us how the women's species works, right? Not to mention that they're not a part of the 1%, right? So the fact that they think that they have all that control and they are not being controlled by the 1% through things like social media, through things like the economy, through things like prices. So they really think these normal, regular males really are out here thinking that they actually are the ones that have control. And they're thinking and not realizing, right, that the 1%, right, which is also made up of males, by the way, right, because it's a patriarchy, the 1% actually controls them. And the patriarchy is all about money. Okay, women having the right to work, women having all these rights, guess what happens? It makes them more money. There's so many males in the manosphere. There's so many males that are so like unhappy and dissatisfied with the fact that women would never ever in a million years even look in their direction, that they could have already theoretically gathered up and started trying to harass women, started trying to, bamboozle women, things like that. And some of them already try to do that. A lot of them already do that, right? Assume women left, right, center, right? And so he wants to come to my face and say, oh, act like they're not already doing what he's saying, or trying to threaten that they can do, and we still have our rights. Like, you think you have power that you don't have. Okay, that's a part of your delusion. Right? That's a part of your delusion. But guess what? I stopped arguing because I was like, this is a complete waste of my time. Talking to males, ladies, is a complete waste of your time. That's why I always say, if that's the way they feel, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Most of them, their salary cannot sustain two people. Their salary can only sustain one person. And even if they're married, it can only sustain one wife and barely a kid. But yet, a lot of them will go around, they want to have 5 women, 6 women, they want all those women catering to, like, what have you done to deserve any of that? Your species is not even supported, your existence isn't even supported by Mother Nature herself. Okay, you can't procreate, you're aggressive, you're violent. Imagine you telling me that it's to your benefit if women continue to be oppressed anyway. And it's because you're just so kind and so great, right? You're just so kind and so great. Right? And so that's why you allow it to continue. Like, huh? Are you delusional? Are you delusional? You yourself are being controlled by the 1%, but you walking around here and you don't even know that? Like, what planet are you living on? So I said, this is a waste of my time. So, but I took the information, I took the data, and here I am. I said, you can't reason with an unreasonable species. See what I'm saying? So here I am. I'm like, I gotta talk to women. I can't talk to the male species. They are delusional. And that's why so many of them die alone. We've looked at the data and statistics. Let me show y'all this data. I had this pulled up. Let me show y'all this data as far as the males that end up dying alone because of this rhetoric, because of this way of thinking, because of the atrocity and their vile nature, right? Let me show you this. Oh my God, oh my God. Go ahead and smash that like button for me. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me. Oh my gosh. All right. So this data is directly from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. This data is directly from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. This shows the number of people dying alone by gender. What's one of the most famous things that males try to use to control us, right? They try to use fear to control us. And here he comes trying to speak to me like they aren't already assuming women, right? That they aren't already trying to control women through fear, right? And they're trying to come and tell me, right, about this whole thing. Look at the truth about who really dies alone. When they try to manipulate us through fear, oh, you're just going to end up dying alone, to force us to link ourselves up to one of their useless species, right? The ones that aren't even performing. You're not even a part of the 1%. You don't even make the income. And if you make the income, you don't have the characteristics. You're not patient. You're not kind. Every time you're super overly emotional, right? You are not one of the 1%, right? A lot of these males aren't one of the 1%, right? But yet they'll come and try to control us through fear, right? Look at this. The number of people dying alone by gender. Directly from the source ministry of the source being the Ministry of Health and Welfare. They literally 10x us, 10x the amount of women that end up dying alone, quote unquote, right? That end up dying and no one even cares about what their name is, right? Look at these numbers. So ladies, when I tell you it is in the male's nature to lie, to try to gaslight you, to try to manipulate you, to try to humble you because they're jealous, right? To try to make you feel less than, right? It is in their very core and in their very nature. I see it often. Regularly, daily. And they never prove me wrong. Never. And I'll tell you another thing, right? Because our culture is highly African. And one thing that I noticed this holiday also is, why is it always the women that are cleaning, that are slaving? The males never help. It's literally the definition of insanity. Yet the reality of it is they don't run anything. The 1%ers run them. They are simply a product of that. They by themselves, or they even collectively as a whole, can't do jack squat. But they walk around trying to lie to women, trying to gaslight women, and trying to harass women through fear. Now you tell me why that is. The inferiority complex, the jealousy, the harassment. If women have any women leaders or any women that are solely standing beside women, oh, that's a problem. Oh, you're such a male hater. Like they don't have the whole manosphere. It's a problem when women have women that stand up specifically for women. Males are codependent by nature. And their existence isn't supported by anything within nature. So let's take a look at this too. So kind of going back, right, to what he was telling me, oh my God, it's males that gave. So that's the first thing, is you didn't give us jack squat. You're not even a part of the 1%. None of you sit in this room and otherwise is a part of the 1%. You yourselves are all run by the 1%. They decide what to present on social media. They decide how much things are going to be. The cost of things, inflation is skyrocketing. The prices of everything is skyrocketing. All right. Males can't even afford, they can barely afford to take care of themselves. So now you want to suppress women, right? You want to enslave women, right? Okay. And then take on women for your own. Tell me how you are going to take care of said woman. How are you going to take care of her? Most of them barely make $60,000 a year. The average income for males, I think, is around $40,000. You see, they don't use I don't know if the processing, the mental, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Not only that, they can't even do it. They can't do it. They can't do it. If they could do it, they would already have done that. They tried. It's not a lack of trying. If they could go back and force us back into enslavement, like he was telling me, but it's through the kindness and the goodness of their heart that they're not doing it, they would have already done it. There are literally millions and millions of them in the manosphere as I speak. But they have no real power. So when it comes to actually executing anything in the real world, impossible. They cannot do it. They have no real power. And then they want to shrug their shoulders and wonder why women complain. They don't even listen to women. They don't even listen. Super controlling. Y'all, I can't even. So let's take a look here. All right. So they had the audacity to tell me, oh, yeah, if we could, we could. So on top of everything else, And this explained it so well. But I was like, I'm not going to keep wasting my voice in a species that can't even put 1 + 1 together. You can't even admit to yourself that you have no real power, right? You can't even admit to yourself that even if you wanted to, you couldn't force women back into slavery. It would not happen because you yourself are being controlled by the 1%ers. That's why they are 1%ers. Because they keep the rest of you subdued without you even knowing it. So here we have a really, really good explanation that goes even further. It says, no, men as a group never gave women the right to do anything. First, they used violence and our own vulnerability during pregnancy. Meanwhile, y'all, you know most men will cheat on you while you're pregnant. That's when they do it. Imagine that vile nature. While you're pregnant, your body is morphing and changing into who knows what. That's when they take it upon themselves to go out there and have a grand time. But anyways, I digress. First, they use violence and our own vulnerability during pregnancy and early motherhood to take rights from us. If patriarchy was the natural order, it wouldn't have to be enforced so strongly with oppressive laws and culture. And each right won back by women was done by women organizing and protesting in ways that made life so uncomfortable for men. So uncomfortable for men to the point where lifting that form of oppression was more convenient than continuing to enforce it. This was the feminism movement. That's how women operate. Women don't lead through violence. We don't lead through oppression, through fear. This is why we are the species, chosen species by Mother Nature herself. We don't have to do all that. All we have to do is make you uncomfortable enough. And you will do it just because you're selfish. Just because you're selfish. Okay? Same with civil rights for minorities. White people didn't give black people civil rights. They took away the rights by force until enforcing the oppression was costing them too much to continue. And then these same oppressors have the audacity. They have the audacity to try to take credit for our freedom when they were the ones that oppressed us in the first place. Oh my God, y'all, I'm telling you, I can't make this stuff up. That's why I say all males. All males. If they're not a 1%er, they're for the streets. None of them are different. They all the same. Okay? And as with abortion rights, we've seen that as soon as they perceived they had the power to enforce the oppression again, they did. They did. These males will not hesitate. They will not hesitate. And yet they try to paint themselves as this kind species from who knows where. They will do it. Unfortunately for them, when it comes to these abortion rights, there's still nothing they can do because it's still the woman's body. She decides, period. But you see what they do? As soon as they perceive that they can oppress you, they will not hesitate. Yet he has the audacity to sit here and tell me, it's because we're so kind of wet. Men do not give women rights out of the goodness of their hearts, as if they are naturally entitled to more rights than women, but are benevolent enough to grant us certain ones that are above our natural station. The delusion. Their existence isn't even supported by Mother Nature herself. When I told them about parthenogenesis, women being able to give birth without needing any male, right? What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? They didn't even have the nerve to Google it and find out for themselves because they are scared of the truth. If the woman has the egg, and even with technology now, what makes you think that technology isn't quickly going to advance? We already have sperm banks, so we don't even need the males, right? We can already just extract the sperm, all right, and we can do whatever we want from there. So what makes you think that technology isn't going to advance enough, okay, to where we can go into the hospital, right? They have the machines, right, and they can trigger the egg into an active state. That's all we need. The egg is in an active state. We don't need no male. Period. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! They can't even face their impending doom. They can't do it. The men gave women the right to narrative supports patriarchy by putting the control over women's right into the hands of men. That's what males do. That's what they do. And then they wonder why these women groups are amassing such a following. Because women have always had the same complaints. Males don't listen. Y'all don't listen. You want to force us and oppress us and da-da-da-da-da, but yeah, you still want a comfortable life? You can try that. See how that works out for you, because you already tried that. You already tried that. If women don't want to have no kids, we're not going to have no kids. It's as simple as that. Especially with how expensive it is nowadays, right? Especially with not being treated the way that we should be treated, right? And you want to oppress us and harass us. As if you yourself have any actual real power, as if you yourself aren't being controlled by the 1% of males. Are you delusional? Now that it's even more about money, because now that women are free, right? That puts more money into their pocket, the 1%ers. You think they're going to let you change that? Or you don't? Like, what are we talking about here? So ladies, I had to bring this to you. I had to bring it to you. So you can see that when I say these things, it's not because I'm happy to say them or admit them. I have males all over my vicinity. They're everywhere. Okay, so some of the comments. Men withheld the rights to vote from women and other undesirables. That's what males do. Through violence, their ego gets hurt so easily, they will not hesitate to yell in a woman's face. They will not hesitate to grab you violently. They will not hesitate to threaten you with force, aggression, and violence. Happens to me all the time. Okay? They won't hesitate just because you're saying stuff that they don't like. Ridiculous. This person says, I never thought of it in this framing before. This really clarifies how we have to activate, doesn't it? Make men's lives uncomfortable. Indeed, women's lives are much more uncomfortable. We should share the discomfort fairly with males. We already are. We're leaving them alone. Leave them alone. They're psycho. They're complete psychos. Okay? Absolutely. They didn't give us the rights to do anything. No one did. They were our rights from the start. They literally were oppressing us from the start, y'all. I can't make this stuff up, man. Which were withheld until we pried it from their hands. Until they had no choice. This is something a lot of people fail to realize. The only way they'll ever give you anything is if you make the alternative so uncomfortable, it's not worth it to them. And we all know males are lazy. They are lazy by nature. We've seen it time and time again. I love when some dude carries on about how society was never made to oppress women and that it was just natural since men couldn't get pregnant and women needed them. Except if that were true, then they wouldn't have been having to put up a fight against female activists. Now trying to take the credit for the work that female activists did. He was trying to tell me, well, there were men that were supporting. What did female activists have to go through to get even some men to pretend like they supported our movement? What did we have to go through? They never asked that question, did they? Why would those men pretend like they even support our movement? They were epically uncomfortable. So this says, except if that were true, then they wouldn't have been having to put up a fight against female activists. Women wouldn't have had to fight for rights that didn't exist because they wouldn't have been barred from working and owning property in the first place. The patriarchy needs women to need men. They need it. Men are codependent. They have a lot of psychological holes. Women are whole in and of themselves. And what they do is they try to lie to women, assume women, and make women believe that women are the ones with the flaws. Women are the ones with the holes, right? Because that's how they rule. That's how they navigate through life, is through being vile and violent. Right? So we have purity culture and lower pay and opportunities for women and mothers so that fear of our wombs makes us bend over backwards to get and keep a man. Women can and have had systems for childcare that didn't involve men at all. Don't need no males to take care of no children, right? Women can have and do work just as efficiently, if not more, than men at many jobs even today. Everyone deserves a living wage for the work that they do. It's also saying men gave us our personhood, right? That's what he was trying to say. That's what he was trying to say, right? In other words, men are a bit full of themselves and like to pretend they are the givers of life. I can't make this stuff up. When actually women are and men have never been able to deal with that. So they oppress women. They cannot give life to save their own lives. All they do and all they know how to do is operate through fear and oppression. Okay? The best way I've heard it said is that women weren't given the right to vote, we took it. This is why I think it's dumb when women say, I'm not a feminist. I mean, sure, there are bad apples in every group, but who do you think fought for your rights to get an education, get a job, have independent bank accounts, to vote, to get an abortion without feminism, etc.? Without feminism, today you would be uneducated, barefoot, and pregnant, and wouldn't be able to leave if your husband, assuaged you and cheated on you, right? So let's see the replies on here. I think women disavowing feminism is more out of a misunderstanding of what feminism is. That's males. Guess who created that somewhat, but it's coming back because males are too oppressive and vile by nature, right? All these groups are coming back because they're needed. Some variations of feminism say that men and women are fundamentally different. They are. Yeah, I believe that for sure. And should be treated different where they differ. Yeah, I believe that men and women are fundamentally different, but that women, right, are the true leaders. Males are not. They cannot be. Not with such a vile nature. I've never seen a nature as vile as the males. It's like the lack of empathy, the lack of understanding. Their brain doesn't even process or allow them to process, right, on a level that allows them to adequately empathize and understand another human being. They view all women as objects. It's very disturbing. Right? Look at this. Yeah, but point that out and you'll either get downvoted or told feminism is rut in your brain. They don't like their fragile views challenged at all. Such fragile egos. Yet they could not survive, not a single day on this earth without women. They couldn't do it. On the contrary, women would be just fine without any of their species here. Because their species, they are the ones that bring violence to this earth. Every war that's been started. What species starts it? What species drives it? Males. All the instances, for the most part, all the instances of aggression, rape, violence, who starts that? Fear? Males. But will they ever take accountability for this? Heck no. Heck no. Fragile egos. Selfish personas. Anyways, y'all, let me know what your thoughts are on this particular subject, all right? Oh my God. Go ahead and smash that like button for me. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me. Oh my gosh. And definitely, yes, leave it in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this particular issue? All right? And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye.